Assalamualaikum dan apa khabar korang yang menonton dan mendengar podcast JeninBercerita. Jadi untuk maklumat korang, this is the last episode for the first season. Jadi seperti biasa, seperti content creator yang diwajibkan, korang kena like, subscribe dan share. Dan kalau korang nak support podcast ni, boleh donate dekat Coffee aku. Dan for the last episode, kita bagi special sikit. Kita bagi wakil perempuan pula. Selalu aku ajak lelaki kan, sampai kena tegur saja. Okay, so the last guest for this season aku ajak ialah Dhaniya Illiani, aka Dhani.
Yay. It's nice to finally be here. After a while.
So is this like kau punya first time podcasting?
I'm not really sure because pernah pergi UIA.
Yeah.
And then they had the recording studio and then we did like a session. But I think that was more of like an Instagram live thing. I'm not sure back then it was what is it. I don't think they had reels yet time tu.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the only time yang it was macam purely mostly based like audio based. Yeah, so that was really interesting. So this has been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, a while.
Okay, so for penonton yang tak mengenali Dhani, jadi boleh kenalkan diri sedikit.
Okay, I'll try my best.
Yeah.
So I'm Dhaniya Illiani Yusof. I work as a multidisciplinary artist, but my background is in fashion design, but I do a multitude of things depending on what's being asked. So technically it just depends on where the wind blows. So I do fashion, a lot of conceptual photography and works, sometimes films or short films, installations, fashion design, and a lot of performance art.
So multidisciplinary. Jadi sebelum aku masuk ke topik multidisciplinary, so like nak cerita sikit lah macam mana aku boleh dapat idea untuk fokus on multidisciplinary. I mean, seperti biasa, masa aku nak check guest, aku akan Google nama.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What research, okay.
Research. Lepas tu, and the first thing was when I Google nama kau, dia akan keluar pasal feminism dan kewanitaan lah. I'm not against that, but dia macam, if you Google one artist dan keluar same topic saja, dia jadi bosan. To me lah.
Yeah, I get it.
So like, jom kita fokus on multidisciplinary lah. So the first thing, apa itu multidisciplinary? Kalau ikut Google, is an artist yang focus on multiple mediums, right? So do you consider yourself that?
If I not be super honest, honestly, the only reason why I think it's easier for me to be called a multidisciplinary is because I tak boleh duduk diam. I have this very hungry urge to just learn and kind of pursue my curiosities. So I think that the very reason why I think I am an artist or I fit within the scope of being an artist is because I don't want to settle for one thing, because I naturally have a lot of interest in mind. And I think semua orang ada more than one benda yang diorang minat, right? Yeah. It's just something that we humans have. But for me, I'm guessing I want to create, this is what I call it, like a Francupation. So it's like like Frankenstein, tapi kerja-kerja yang berlainan yang you create your own monster. So like a Francupation. So an artist works well, a multidisciplinary artist works well for me. So that's how I started lah.
So like, right now kau seorang multidisciplinary, tapi mesti ada satu medium yang kau ceburi dulu sebelum mencari medium lain kan? What was the first one?
I think illustration and paintings are the usual. A lot of illustrations and paintings, and then from there I started getting commissions, and it pushed me to try different medias and mediums. So from there I experimented more by being crafty, and until a certain point, I think during like my SPM years, my SPM years, and after it, I took a gap year to just explore, and that's where I found out there's the term visual artist. And it fit me very well. I was like, and it gave me a sense of purpose, because before I just kind of like created things without really knowing what I am or what sort of occupation or direction I'm supposed to go into until I found friends within, and I got into the community even more, and I found out there's this term which is a visual artist, and then from there it kind of grew because I met people who did conceptual photography, and I met people who did installations. I met people who did gravity. So dia macam like you started understanding like art is so vast, and this is not taught in school.
Yeah.
So macam okay lah. I think for now I can call myself and identify myself as a visual artist to sort of help people to navigate on what they can ask of me. Yeah. But tu pun orang tetap akan ask for me for other things. So macam okay lah, tengoklah macam ni. Yeah.
You just go with the flow lah.
Yeah, it's part of the job.
Yeah.
Part of life actually.
So like awal-awal kau seorang visual artist. Jadi dari kenalan lah kau boleh macam aku nak cuba ni.
I think benda tu penting kot. Because macam what I realised is I learn better when it is off the book. I'm not the type that can stick to a textbook or stick to certain instructions. I learn better through people, through experiences. I'm more of a handsy person. So I think from there it really helped grow macam mana I nak approach my works and my karya in a way where it's realistic, in a way where I know certain ethics in place. I know how to deal people. Macam tu. I know how to create works that are more aligned to reality and not just within my own head. Because macam when I first started out, of course, you not develop your own language, right, in your work. So you can just have that conversation with yourself and with whatever mediums that you have. But as you want to grow further, you have to understand the wider environment and how things work. So I had to understand macam how people think, or how people can think outside of how I think. So it helps to push me and challenge me to go into very different modes of perception, perspectives. So it's very important that I meet people. Even if, honest to God, I orang paling introvert dulu. Time sekolah, orang ingat I bisu.
Oh wow.
It was to that extent.
Level,
yeah. So the fact that I'm able to talk now is actually macam was painful lah. I went through a painful process.
Wow. I mean like introvert selalu tak dikaitkan dengan artis, jarang lah selalunya.
Is it?
I mean like kalau background aku lah, like I used to study engineering. So like selalu nampak budak-budak artis or like quote-unquote mass comm lah, is the most extrovert person you can find.
Oh, but that's mass communication.
Yeah.
I think macam for me, from my side, I see a lot of secara traditional, artists are considered to be introverts themselves and reserved.
Yeah.
There's this traditional conception of how they're supposed to be reserved, quiet, and eccentric. They work di belakang takbir.
Yeah.
And their work is the one that is visible in front. But I think there are many different types of artists. And I think for me, what's interesting is I come from, I guess, a generation where I'm caught between the change of technology and like the way that media works now. Which I started out from Instagram.
Oh, Instagram.
But because of that, there's a interesting view of how art sekarang is like macam it's not as valuable or not as serious or critical as how orang-orang dulu sort of approach it.
Yeah.
So dia ada banyak macam jenis purist punya perceptions towards it lah. I think I find it quite interesting for our generation to tackle into.
I mean like sekarang ni pun art tak sesusah sekarang, tak sesusah dulu, tak se-eksklusif dulu sebab ada internet semua.
Yeah. It's easier to go around lah.
Yeah.
Tapi with something new comes new challenges lah. For sure.
I mean interesting yang dekat bahagian kau cakap yang awal-awalnya kau buat untuk self-expression kan. Lepas tu along the way kau sedar yang sebenarnya art ni boleh lebih daripada self-expression. Kau kena bergaul dengan orang, kau kena like not be in your own bubble lah, senang cerita. Did that change happen naturally? Atau macam kau ada epiphany tiba-tiba?
Oi. Let me trace it back. I think when I was first starting out, I think it's very very important that I learn about myself and my language creatively. So that when I know myself enough, what I realized is when I was creating my work, time dulu-dulu tu macam the usual feedback that I get is like macam pelik ni. Apa ni? Tak faham.
Biasa tu.
Berat macam tu, right?
berat.
But for you, it's like macam you don't even have to understand it, right? You just
Yeah.
like look at it and tell me what you think about it. Whatever it is, that's what you get because it's more about you than it is about me because it's you yang tengok kan.
Yeah.
You yang process benda tu, right? And then I think gradually from there, I started realizing how I, like from my language, what if I can create a certain artwork or do better enough or do great enough to the point where I don't even have to say anything, but people will get it in my way.
Oh.
So macam like, you know, sekarang ni kita cakap dalam bahasa Melayu and sekarang kita boleh cakap bahasa English, right?
Yeah.
So imagine like I'm talking my own language and when I present it to you or when I'm talking it to you, you automatically can pick it up, but you cannot explain it in that language that I'm talking. You just understand it. So for me, I do view it as like macam a certain, sama macam introverts, the reason why they're not that great at conversing or talking is because language orang different. They're more in tune with different things. Like maybe they pick up from emotions or maybe they pick up from visual language better. Macam for me, I'm a visual person more than a verbal person. So growing up, I communicated visually better and people understood me visually better rather than when I try to communicate in words, I always get like misunderstood. Tapi when you communicate visually, you still are misunderstood. Cuma the gist of it, people understand. Oh, that's macam sekarang ya. Oh, that's very Dhani. Cukup. I don't even need to explain myself. They just know that, oh, that's expected of her. That's very her. So it makes it easier for me to experiment in a way where people dah faham how I think and how my world works, you know?
By showing your ideas through visual.
Visually presenting myself in different modes. I think one of the things I really enjoy about my work is how, because I marry fashion and art a lot. So sekarang kan zaman Instagram, like I mentioned. So it can be easily misunderstood how easy my work is because it's just visually. You might look at an image and you think to yourself, macam, oh, you know, she just snapped a picture. But they don't faham like the levels of ideation that I go through. Like what sort of level of how do you say? How much detail I put into my work. The planning, the setting up, the colors.
The thought process of it.
The thought process that I go through in putting out my work. So macam those things are, I think, what I really enjoy in challenging. Or in understanding. Like for instance, because I hate saying this, but it is true for each artist. We are our own muse. Right? So the same with me. I am my own muse, but I am more upfront about it because I embody my work sometimes. So it's not always on paper. Sometimes I put it on myself.
I see.
So sometimes orang macam tak boleh like discern between the two. It's like macam, oh, but you know, you're just wearing something. You're just macam probably on Instagram, they probably just look at me as another girl wearing something. But they don't really understand macam the layers of like how art can be presented now. So that's what's interesting, I feel.
Jadi for you, kau post tu bukan hanya untuk nak tunjuk hey, I'm a model, tak ada lah, you know.
Most of the time tak pun. Because macam I cannot control narratives. People will view me in a certain way and people will engage with me in a certain way. But that is what Instagram is, right? It's not technically a place for fine art. Fine art is just a place for socializing. But it's also great for like putting yourself out there, getting opportunities, which throughout the years I think has been amazing for a lot of artists. But borderline is truly about educating people dalam secara halus. People who get it will get it, but people who you leave crumbs to will maybe start to understand art outside of what's conventionally understood. And what's interesting is macam you find very different perceptions or perspectives from people who may not understand the idea of being your own muse or being not the traditional artist hiding behind the sofa ke or behind the tirai ke whatever, but being somebody who embodies your ideas. Dengan people who are more traditional in thinking in the industry, who work as artists themselves, who are very reserved. Because sometimes I do get orang-orang yang think quite lightly of my work because up front for them it's like, a pretty girl on Instagram. Macam tu lah. But I take it as something to play with in my work as an artist, you know? Because it's more of their own perception of things rather than mine. So macam, I think I can say this, for a lot of young girls dalam art, ni benda yang kita orang biasa go through lah. Because it is, anywhere you go, it's a male-dominated punya feel.
Yeah, betul.
So macam like, okay.
I feel like it's interesting lah sebab selalunya memang, I don't know if it's like gender thing, I don't know lah. Tapi memang sebab member-member aku pun yang perempuan memang kebanyakannya akan show themselves on IG bandingkan lelaki. Yeah. But it's interesting lah. Tapi bahagian fashion lah, how did you get into fashion? I mean, you studied visual art. Kenapa tiba-tiba along the way aku nak belajar professionally in fashion?
This will be fun to talk about. So I've always been in love with fabric and clothing. Maybe because my mom was a seamstress. So like I have fond memories of hearing the machine jahit as a growing up, and then seeing like the things that she created for me and my sister. And I think from there it just naturally progressed, and my sister got into mass communications. And she got into fashion. She started working in fashion. So when I was in my teenhood, I banyak menyibuk, followed on set, helped and assist in shoots. So from there, as I mentioned before, I'm a person who learns better directly in situations. So I started understanding how editorials are being done, how she does the styling work, how she delegates tasks and prepares certain things in her profession of things. And fashion is such a wide spectrum of like kerjaan, right? Yeah. And from there, my sister's more on the fashion side, I'm more on the art side. Like more on the fine art side. So when I wanted to continue my studies, I told my parents how much I'm like, I really want to go for fine art, you know?
Okay.
But, that's one of the things that I'm quite saddened about is I was sort of withheld from going into fine art because mana boleh buat duit.
Biasa tu.
Biasa orang, like, the normal Malaysian Asian parenting. Yeah. So I'm like, okay lah, how about this? We come at a certain point, I'll do fashion then. So I went into fashion instead of fine art. But if I were to be completely honest, I wish I did not have my PTPN debt based on fashion, because I really, really wanted to go into fine art. I realized macam I already had the skill sets for fashion. I just needed to enroll into a program untuk sewing je. So, but either way, I think there is a silver lining in not learning fine art because I make my own rules. I just like membuta je, go through things. And there's a certain charm to it, I think, for people who are never taught certain things because they naturally have certain ways of doing things that are outside of what's conventionally taught, You're not molded. Yeah. You mold yourself. One of the finer things lah. So that's how I got into fashion. Yeah. But even time masa fashion pun, I've already started doing art and taking up jobs in it. So there's a nice balance between the both that I can kind of go back and forth with.
Yeah. I mean, I understand bahagian tu sebab kalau if you join something secara akademik, you will be bind to the rules, right? Banding dengan freelance cuba sendiri, kita tak tahu peraturan, kita buat peraturan.
Yeah. And juga macam like if you study anything related to art or in the creative field, the things that you learn are very much berteraskan your lecturer's preferences. Yeah, because macam how do you grade art, right? It depends on what that person's taste is like and how they want to guide you, what they want to teach you. So sometimes you get good lectures and sometimes you get lectures that are just like adamant on things being a certain way. So macam finding that soft spot, that nice spot is a bit hard lah.
So do you have any mentors masa ni?
I think I treat everybody I meet as a mentor.
Oh wow.
Macam tak kisah lah, like maybe I terjumpa you sekejap je dekat tepi jalan, but you tell me something that inspires me, you're a mentor. I jenis macam one of the things, because I'm in the collective Project Rabak. So in Project Rabak, one of our philosophies is that sekejap, I'm trying to remember the way that it's said. It's something like jadi manusia dulu, seni kemudian.
Oh, okay.
Because art comes much later. It's the connection that you have with a person. It's the being a good or trying to be a good person comes first. Because if you tengok dari segi history, right, I think more in the Western context especially, is like a lot of artists are not great people.
Yes.
You know, they're not very good people. They're either rude, they're either egocentric. So we want something that's more kemanusiaan lah, more closer to why do you practice art? What do you want to come out of it, you know? What do you want to learn out of it? So benda-benda macam tu I think is why I think everybody is a mentor is very important.
So dalam banyak-banyak all the medium yang kau pernah guna, tak pernah bertema ke? Maksudnya if you make a painting, is it gonna be the same as you made a short film? The themes lah.
Ikut mood kot. I mean, if you're doing a short film and then tak ada tema, that'll be very experimental.
Yeah, betul.
So I think for me, okay, honest juga masa you cakap macam like about, I have a lot of, if you Google me, a lot of like feminism comes up, a lot of women related topics, right?
Betul.
Benda tu semua are not things that I
want to portray, right?
Not things that I control tau. Not things that I put out tau.
Right.
It's only because that's the thing about being a women artist. There's a term women artist.
Women artist.
Mana ada term male artist? You know, that's one of the things that you are going to be consumed by in terms of media. The media loves women. I am not complaining. But so tu antara benda-benda yang macam I find quite interesting in experiencing lah is how you are going to be framed in a certain way. Because if you ask me whether I'm a feminist or not, honestly, if you're a woman, you're a feminist. Dah. That's just the borderline of things, you know. Like and when I create things, because my experiences are as a woman, so it will come out that way. So that's why I feel like macam I don't really need to define certain things or define myself. If you think it is, then it is. If you think it's not, then it's not. But I'm not going to tell you how to treat my work or how to perceive my work in certain ways. I will have my own narratives, right? Macam like for instance, memang my work banyak about femininity or about understanding womanhood. That's a given. But what it is to other people is not for me to control lah. I do set certain themes in place, but only because I want to learn something out of it.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I agree macam banyak about femininity, about womanhood, but there are also different aspects of it. Macam I think a lot about how on a societal level or how on a like sometimes even politics, but not so much. But I think everything is political anyway. So yeah, there are different modes of it. Kalau macam my artwork, sometimes I don't think at all. I just draw and see what happens.
Into the zone.
Into the zone, you know, freewheeling it. Kalau benda-benda yang macam I tak nak buang masa orang, I have to plan a bit more lah, macam themes, storyline, macam kalau short films, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of my works are conceptual, so it means I'm very open to see how it progresses and flows. So macam makna dia is like I'm trying to find a way to explain it. Macam remote, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't treat it as a remote. I treat it as like a navigational punya ni ke. So macam you explore possibilities of things in being a conceptual artist.
So bila you keluarkan satu karya, kau lebih kepada like seeing where the conversation gonna go.
Kiranya what's that called lah? You make up stuff. You know, you merepek. Merepek lah.
And see dan tengok berapa ramai orang sahut merepek kita tu. Tapi okay juga sebab being a woman artist, agak pelik juga term tu because artist semua sama je to me. I mean like benda tu pun memang true lah sebab at the end of the day only you can totally feel apa yang kau rasa. I mean to me as a guy, as a dude, aku boleh faham tapi aku tak boleh rasai. Jadi for you to explore that, that's cool. Itu lah. So memang tak ada team lah. Jadi sepanjang berkarya memang hantam saja tengok apa jadi. Kan sebelum ni ada yang macam, I mean you work with companies before kan. Jadi mesti ada yang dia ada guideline dia kan.
Kena. Macam like I had a recent engagement about and I got into trouble a bit. Because macam again, I don't come from a business perspective or was I trained in mass communications and whatnot, right? So of course ada certain methods of structure that I have to learn to present my ideas better towards clients. So diorang akan faham dari segi diorang. I pula faham dari segi jenis-jenis, right? Like, it's like very free flow. So I have to put it in certain orders or certain formats that can easily be interpreted to them. So benda-benda macam tu jadi juga. So I wouldn't say not all of them don't have teams. I would say a lot of them do have teams. Cuma my intention towards it sometimes it's dikecilkan into one scope of my identity. Macam whatever I do, I might be talking about something that's really not related to my gender. Dia akan berpicu balik to my gender. So macam people will be talking about this, about this, and then I cakap macam, your work is very about this woman.
Sedangkan tak ada pun awal-awal tu.
So macam like sometimes, but it's interesting because that's how people perceive, right? So I have to take in that feedback as a way of understanding how people think. And from there I go macam, okay, macam mana I nak hack benda ni? Dia benda-benda macam like really just understanding your environment, and it helps understand yourself.
Kau tak rasa annoying ke? Selalu dikaitkan dengan topik womanhood, feminism, sedangkan you didn't want to show it.
I think
bila banyak kali lah. Kalau sekali-sekala mungkin tak apa lah. Bila kerap,
I'm annoyed kalau corporate. Kalau dari segi corporate I akan annoyed, because I'm macam like, macam ni you pandang I macam tu je dari segi kecil tu je lah. I don't feel like offended by it. I just feel like there's so much more to the young women or the women that I know of, yang I kenal kawan-kawan semua kan. Tapi that's the only segi yang dia nak from you. Dia macam like, dia dah memang perempuan, apa lagi kan? Takkan tu je, right? So sometimes I get annoyed about that, but I think alhamdulillah for me I'm very blur. So I banyak lepas tangan. Because I macam I don't want the outside world to be able to define me inside.
Yeah.
So macam you nak cakap, you cakap lah, sekati hang lah, macam tu.
You just do your own thing lah.
Do your own thing lah.
So like where notebook dulu. So why not you just stick to one lah. Sebab selalunya ada yang kata in business aspect lah, if you want to tackle a crowd, you have to do one thing only. If you want to make film, just make film. Sebab budak film tak boleh ngam dengan budak artis. Macam tu lah, ada setengah macam tu.
I think that's where it comes in. I cakap, because I tak ada formal training. So I don't need to follow any rules. One of the things that my compass is also to learn, right? So everything I do, I want to do it because I feel a sense of purpose in it. A sense of reason that I want to learn in it. I tak nak buat something just because maybe for me naturally I memang jenis orang yang nak banyak benda. and I am hungry and passionate for a few things. Or a lot of things. So why do I have to sacrifice that when I can just try to see what can happen when I cross genres or cross different fields of practice? You never know what might come up. That's how innovation comes up. That's how you push certain boundaries, right? So that's one of the things I think I want to go with. Memang masa I was starting out, I figured to myself, kalau I buat benda ni banyak, macam I buat more art, and then just art itself, I know I can go far within that field alone. But then I fikir to myself macam, but as human beings juga, we are multi-talented. I think everybody is multi-talented. We all have multiple potential in things. So does that mean macam just because, ni cara I fikir lah, just because you can cook, you should give up drawing? It's as simple as that, I think. It's just whether or not you macam rasa, kalau you go full in cooking, I can buat duit macam ni, I boleh buat macam ni. I think if you don't have to settle on one thing if you don't want to. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But it's not my thing. Tu je lah kot.
Did you ever try, tak confuse bila orang tengok?
Confused.
Ya kan, dia kejap nanti budak ni dah jadi apa? Pengarah ke? Dah jadi designer ke?
Sebab tu tadi kalau mereka tanya, what do you do? Macam I really don't know how to go about this. That's always the case. I tak tahu macam mana nak explain. But I think at first I was worried about that. Because I fikir macam, macam mana orang nak ambil kerja? Because benda dari outside pun nampak confusing. So one tactic that I learned is branding myself. That's why sekarang what I really enjoy is I don't need to explain myself, but dia akan cakap, but it's Dhani. So Dhani tu jadi like a way where people can just say, she can do this, she can do this, she can do this. Macam enough. That's all you need to know. It's a Dhani thing. So in a way, I've succeeded in coming across to people that way. But also what I enjoy is I pernah buat that music video dengan Senawan kan. I art directed it. So before that, the people from the production then house, they came to me and then we sat down and had a talk, and then they cakap straight, we want to work with you, but we don't know with what or how. This time meeting, so I was just like, for me that felt like, oh wow, I'm so happy and like so honored to have people come to me and tell me, prior to even figuring out what they can get from me, they're giving me this freedom to just do what I want to do and figure out what I can provide to them though. Because kiranya my scope to them seems that vast. You know?
Yeah.
So we don't even want to work with you like macam as a art director ke, or we want you to help design certain things ke. So technically for that music video, what I did was art directed. I did the collages, the visual works. I also helped search for like the visuals, of course. The stock work and everything. I also did the makeup for Sona.
Oh, wow.
Which was macam, that was the first time I did like what's that? Face paint.
Face paint.
I had to follow a certain image tau. The first time on a guy lagi. So macam like, it works out that way, you know? So I'm very grateful to come to such a point where what I can give to people is not as tangible anymore. They just want to see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
So nama kau dah jadi verb, jadi noun, ikut lah.
I hope so. I mean, I would like to think so, you know? But only for myself. Something I can own. Yeah.
So how long have you been in the quote-unquote industry?
Trying to figure out. Because when I started at 15 on Instagram, 15? I started getting commissions already. And then I think from there, that was very much one-to-one with certain clients je lah. And then gradually, when I got more involved dengan the community and different collectives, meeting people, I got more jobs that are like, I guess, more in the industry. Kalau I started lepas SPM, so 18 and I'm 25 now. 7 years now.
Oh wow.
Like, kena I started early lah.
18. Kira sambil belajar fashion, buat artwork part-time lah.
Because even before I started art first, before fashion. So, tapi I dah tahu lah, because if I want things to be a certain way, I want to do things in my way, I have to create something kukuh for myself. So that means creating the structure, the clientele, the people, the friends that can help mold the sort of pekerjaan that fits me best. So kena start early lah kalau you nak benda macam tu and you nak make money, because experience will come out in how they pay you, and because the longer you are in the industry, the more they pay you apparently.
How long did you quote unquote search for your voice?
This will be interesting because I didn't have to search for my voice.
What?
I didn't have to search for my voice because my visual punya language are very strong. Because I memang dalam kepala I sendiri. So that's why macam I cakap my issue, my struggle, challenge was mostly how do I interpret or how do I put my work across to people so that they understand why I do certain things this way and why my artwork is within this sort of style. Macam tu. So the voice that I needed to find was mostly macam how to talk to people yang macam ni. Like how to talk to clients so that they understand me, or to like to the world so they understand me. But my voice dari segi art dah memang ada.
Memang ada dah.
Kira macam some people, they just have that certain style that you know it's them. So apparently, this is what people say, I already have that lah.
It's like memang semula jadi ada.
It's just how to connect and Bluetooth to the world.
I mean, being an like introverted person, kalau experience macam ni agak menggerun tak? Being a podcast, talking about what you feel.
Not anymore. I have an on-off switch.
Okay.
It's quite I think survival for survival's sake. So macam I can be, sekarang ni, I'm so good at being able to present myself socially that I think semua orang who don't know me will think I'm an extrovert.
Ya, biasa tu.
Kan? It's part of the, I think it's part of the job, and part of the only way I can move forward is having the right soft skills like this lah. And I do get overwhelmed from time to time lah. Tengok keadaan. Kalau macam sini, this is an intimate space, so I can function pretty well. Kalau macam ramai, I can fake it.
Fake it.
I can fake it, but inside I'll be like macam, oh, what the hell did I say? Apa benda you cakap ni?
Being that, I mean, extrovert, introvert best juga yang tu. So like, how do you manage to change?
Well, that's why I cakap it's painful.
It's painful.
It's actually very, very painful. I won't lie. Because it's so uncomfortable to make mistakes. Because when you're talking and you're learning by the get-go, because you get opportunities. Yeah. And then lemak ni opportunity pula, you have to talk to like certain people who are quite well-versed and they're already like people in the industry that sometimes you look up to. So you can't bullshit through. Pardon my French. You can't like, make up things or merepek sangat because you need to have base points yang make sense.
Yeah, then.
And you pula macam, lemak, but I don't know how to present or talk well enough at the moment. So you start to macam learn by just redah lah. You have to roll those through. And if afterwards when you look at the video and say, I really didn't make any sense here. You're gonna have you have to go through all of the cringiest moments to learn. Because a lot of the things that I did, but I can dengar balik and see macam, oh, maybe it's better if I said it this way. I have to do those things. I have to do my homework with myself so that I'm able to present better or talk better. So it was painful. But the only way to learn is to do it.
That's a sad truth.
Yeah. Just to do it.
Okay. Assalamualaikum semula. Sorry. Tiba-tiba handset aku jadi gelong. Ada dunia dia sendiri, ada minda dia sendiri. Dan tiba-tiba handset jadi rosak. So thanks to our audio guy, JD, for giving us this camera. So, how the hell am I gonna continue? Ini kali pertama jadi agak jam juga.
Tak apa.
So, like, okay, since ada di topik spontan lah. So, kau mulakan dengan IG kan? So, IG sekarang ni dah ada term like Insta famous, social media famous. Do you consider yourself that?
Thing is, it doesn't matter what I consider myself as. People will consider myself as.
Influencer
dia akan just letak benda macam tu lah. But macam people in the industry tahu lah what to put me as. But sometimes you get like, macam I get certain agencies or certain clients who can't make a difference in the terms. Macam I'm learning myself because benda ni is quite recent, I would say, throughout the years, right? Macam like influencers, Insta famous, content creators, and all of that, right? So technically, this is what I mentioned before, why as artists of today, for our generation, you cannot live without an Instagram account or any other accounts socially, because that's the mode of you putting yourself out now. That is, I guess, the LinkedIn of this generation now. So it's easy for people to misunderstand your job scope of things. So much like for fashion for instance, in the fine art world, I think it's not considered as that. It's not seriously taken into consideration. I think I can't say globally for sure, but I can say in Malaysia because it's being seen as something much very pretty to look at.
Yeah,
it's very, very visual, very about clothing and whatnot, but they don't really see the designing aspect as much. So so yeah, I don't really consider myself other than as just Dhani. Even artis pun kadang-kadang ragu-ragu because I'm just sticking to myself. All these definitions or identifications don't really bother me so much. If I love what I do, if I love something, then I love something. And if it seems to, for people, align to certain things, then yeah, sure, why not?
So So technically kau tak terasa sangat lah dengan term influencer apa semua tu.
I mean, I won't lie. Sometimes when it first came out,
Yeah.
terasa lah. Because it felt like macam, because Andy Warhol, he once said like in the near future, everybody's gonna be great in a way. I don't know how he quoted it, but he said in a way macam everybody's gonna have a following for themselves. You know? Everybody's gonna be an icon. There's gonna be a method for it. And memang betul benda tu jadi. And the problem is not everybody who is influential, I wouldn't say, how do you say, does something worthwhile. There's a better way of saying it. That sounds mean.
Does nak tulis something that matters tak sangat.
Some methods of being influential is done in a way where it demeans other people ke, or it degrades other people ke, or macam it's just not not a good way of making a living. Macam tu, you know. But rezeki is rezeki, right? But macam for me, I don't try to judge lah. But for me, like, treat me within my profession, because I like in the industry I have to do that, because that's a way for me to protect myself and my work. Because all this identification, so macam influencer ke or artist ke content creator, pays differently. Yeah, it all pays differently, and the treatment is all different. So macam, for instance, okay, I'll give you an example. Like, you know, influencers today earn so much more than engineers.
Yes.
Right. So those things, right? So one of the things that I need to protect is I have to tell people I'm a working professional. So what you're paying is for my experience, for what I've learned throughout the years, and what I can provide for you is a certain quality of work that I've achieved from years of hard work. So you have to treat me within that frame of being an artist lah. Sama macam like, so if you're not engaged with me, you're not engaging with followers. You don't engage me for my followers. You have to understand most of them are actually my friends. Because I meet a lot of people throughout the years. My friends and people that I actually do talk a lot to. You know, I do engage with them. So you cannot quantify me based off followers or numbers. I tak suka that cara kerja lah. I faham dari segi business point of view is like, it's a way to evaluate profit and all of that. But you cannot treat people like statistics lah. So one of the things I have to teach them, or teach people who engage with me who think like that in a corporate value way, is you either treat people or artists and pay them accordingly, or you don't work with them.
Jadi okay lah, dia tak ada lah kau buat passion untuk passion saja. You have to be professional. You have to treat it like a job if you want.
You have to be responsible. So benda-benda macam yang sedih is like market boleh rosak. Market banyak rosak. But I don't blame artist yang tak belajar benda ni, because I pun tak tahu masa I was starting out. How would I know? And then it came to a point where I realised macam kalau artis yang dah lama juga, and I'm considered quite macam new juga, but artis yang dah lama juga minta price point macam ni, and then they're treated like influencers ke or content creators okay lagi, but influencers then what is left for the ones emerging? Say like this person yang otai is being paid 3K, yang baru-baru dapat berapa? That's gonna be an argument that they're gonna give out. Which, I dapat this guy who's like huge for like 3K. Why should I pay this young talent for 3K? I'm gonna probably pay you 500 ringgit. Macam tu. And because we're so desperate sometimes, because it's not easy, we take it. So there's satu cara yang I feel like is not being taught a lot lah, how to protect one another and protect our market.
So lebih kepada insider lah juga story ni.
Yalah. It's okay, I like to share.
Okay. Nah, orang kena tahu juga bahagian ni, sebab selalunya argument ialah artis tak boleh buat duit, tapi bila explain, tak ada siapa explain the inside, tak ada siapa boleh imagine.
I think there's also this pemikiran yang bila you're doing art, it's like duit tu macam kotor. So you macam like, no, you should not pay it. I'm doing this because it's from my heart. No, but that's the thing though. Like, how do you nourish your heart? You need money juga, right? To eat, to take care of your body, to take care of people you love. So one of the things I was taught is that you should talk about money first. But this is with the right people lah. If it's a corporate punya engagement, if it's certain clientele, you talk about money first. If it's with your community, your friends, situlah is where you give back. Situlah is where you give and take. So talk about money. It's important. It's important. They have it.
So what's your thought on collaboration since kau dah rasa kedua-dua air, which is the corporate and the purist side lah. Aku tak tahu lah nak kata. Purist lah maybe.
More community lah.
More community side. So what do you think about collaborating with either side lah?
So that's what I'm trying to learn sekarang.
I think it's differentiate.
I will always have to. I think this is going to be a continued process of learning. Because dua-dua belah cara lain-lain. Because lain orang, lain company ke lain cara, and I'm trying to marry both worlds untuk dapat a nice balance. Because I love working or collaborating with people within the creative community. Because free kot, senang je. Macam free je, kita orang santai, tak ada deadline, and you sit down, you lepak, you bounce ideas. It's very nourishing, very fulfilling. But that's not usually where the money is lah. So macam you kena ada side yang for your cari untuk makan, duit makan, dengan you kena cari side yang untuk your soul's nourishment, your creativity punya soul, your soul's creativity. So cara I navigate is
you have like macam kau cakap tadi lah, masa nak bercakap macam ni kau ada on off switch, kau ada versi lain for this Dhani another version.
For macam corporate, I tak tunjuk muka banyak. I kena jual mahal lah. kena jual mahal because I tak nak ada banyak kali kena pijak when I was starting out. I'll say that. So Alhamdulillah, I think it's been 2 years I've been under an agency, and this is their first trying to represent an artist lah. So it's a interesting working relationship of back and forth. And what's good is I have 2 managers. Satu manages more on the business aspect. Dua-dua boleh. Dua-dua very well versed in marketing semua benda. But one side is more of like the creative brain. And so he does theatre, he sings. So dia boleh faham lah dari segi seni sikit. So it's a nice balance to work with. And so if anything, like more bigger engagements ke yang macam I'm malas nak deal one-on-one because I don't understand the business lingo or jargons, I hantar dia orang. So it really helps because nampak macam ada 2 bodyguard. So you can't just and they know their way through the market and the industry, so they know what to fight for. Because I just don't know. Macam you give me a contract, I'll read and I really can't brain it. Alah, untuk orang biasa pun baca kontrak pun macam you don't understand most of it. So I need that lah. So I think it's the best of both worlds, but it's not easy. It's not for everyone. I'll say that. Because it's either you look at the commercial world in a way where it is, I won't say low, but macam you pandang serong sikit because you don't want to go big, or macam you don't want to be a sellout, so benda macam tu kan. Or you look at it as like macam an opportunity to learn the way people think, or an opportunity to maybe even make things better for yourself. And what I find surprising is when you do that, you make things better for other people juga. It's a naive way of thinking, but sometimes I get messages that really warm my heart lah, and it reminds me macam maybe I'll do things that I don't like because it really helps to put art maybe in Malaysia in a different perspective, so that there is space for people who don't fit in both worlds. Because I don't fit in actually I don't fit in the commercial punya ni.
Oh really?
I don't. Cuma I boleh. Because I cakap straight, because I have the look for it. I have the look for it, and fashion has taught me a lot in life is about how you look. It's quite, fashion punya world is quite superficial. Tapi fashion in terms of design is very I think it's beautiful. I
mean, fashion is something yang tak ramai orang tengahkan juga. I mean, like kalau visual artist, dia akan tengok painting as like something yang kecil. Tapi bila filem dan muzik dia akan jadi pop, maksudnya semua orang boleh terima. Bila fashion dia tak ada ke tengah-tengah tu lah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing lah. Macam it's either you go mass market, or it's either you stick to a certain style that is very niche and you dapat, the only way to work at it is to dapat a cult following.
Yeah.
Tu je the only way for you to make it. But the only reason I tak buat fashion as in like create collections and whatnot is because I don't like it as an industry. I don't like it as an industry. I like it as an art form, but not as an industry.
I see.
And macam like you have to go to events. Penat though. It's just not my cup of tea lah. Not the sort of thing that I find fulfillment by.
Agak menarik lah juga sebab kalau if we quote unquote bukan judge, if you look at your IG ke apa kan, patutlah orang akan fikir she very extrovert kalau based on videos.
Yeah. It's a private space actually. It's a kadang macam you forget like people are watching. You know? Yeah.
I mean sekarang hard juga. Macam buat video ni pun agak cringy jugalah. Because people are gonna see and like am I gonna show my dumb self? Macam tu lah.
Tadi masa I dengar the slide apa? This you put on the video and I dengar my voice, I'm macam oh lord. Just spiraling down. Because one of the things I'm quite insecure about is my voice. Because my work semua kalau you tengok, it's not sound based, it's visual based.
Yeah.
So macam bila datang sound yang macam like, can we just make it silent?
Dia sesuatu yang takkan hilang. Walaupun aku dah buat like 17 episode of the podcast, I never like listening to my voice.
Yeah, so that's why I cakap painful.
Yeah. So like, how did you... Tak, aku nak bawa ke mana lagi ya? Did you try... So do you want to make fashion more arts? Sebab like, aku rasa argument finding the balance between corporate and art tu memang satu yang never ending. Memang takkan.
Banyak sangat cabang. Because even with what I've learned is like there's art where you practice with yourself for yourself, and then there's art where you practice in a more fine art realm or macam more macam exhibitions or shows or macam ni semua benda. And then there's art in the aspect of commercial.
Yeah.
So like all these things yang I try to navigate demands a different part of me or a different aspect of my brain tau. Kalau nak cakap what paling I rasa is me is the more pameran, the more exhibition me lah. Because that one macam unfiltered. Unfiltered and just thoroughly Dhani's world. You know? But I think I want to be uncomfortable. I like learning things and failing in things and understanding continuously how I can do better and how I learn about myself and how my art can grow outside of me. Macam you tengah jaga baby lah, and then baby tu membesar and you have to let it go. You tak boleh membabykan dia lagi, you know?
Your artwork sekali dah keluar, itulah apa yang orang fikir.
You might like it, you might not like it. Macam tu lah.
Have you ever considered apa lagi medium yang you pernah guna?
I mean, I know I'm quite experimental. Cuma kadang-kadang bila tak ada duit ni susah juga. I'll be honest about that.
Lalu bila tak ada duit, kita DIY experimental habis.
You know what's funny is my name is an acronym for DIY.
Oh really?
Dhaniya Illiani Yusof. DIY macam okay. Makes sense. Tak boleh cakap lah. Because my family, my dad, dia suka collect junk. Jadi saya macam ada plastic bag lebih ni lah, bawa balik lah. Tak tahu apa simpan. Dan jumpa tayar, bawa balik lah, simpan. Stuff like that. So I pun ada perangai So it just depends on what I feel
at the moment,
what I'm attracted to at the moment. Sometimes macam, I think for a lot of artists as well, we have this habit of where you can just be walking down the street and then you see, like the other day I saw this macam tiang wire dah putus, and I thought to myself, oh my god, that's so nice. I took a photo of it, and then sampai sekarang I tengok balik macam like there's something about it that I felt very attracted to visually. Like there's something I could do with this, you know? So those are the things that I think pushes me to try different mediums. So maybe I'm thinking of making like experimental wire flowers. Because when I saw the concrete, I'm like, macam, there's a nice contrast to it, like a jungle, like a concrete jungle. Benda macam tu akan bermain in your head, you know. So I actually do mean when the merepekness is what fuels me.
Merepekness pun tadi tak boleh nak kawal jugalah, tiba-tiba ada.
Dia macam you own your small eccentricities.
So do you still struggle untuk keluar daripada visual? I mean, you could do like writing or something like that.
I know my main method of language is visual. I wouldn't say susah nak keluar, but cara I process is always visual first. So macam I kena tulis untuk nampak dulu apa yang nak buat or stuff like that. I kena lukis dulu untuk nampak dulu apa yang nak buat, and then baru I translate to different mediums. So I think a lot of artists, ada different ways of creating work, non-linear methods. So mine is always visual first, and then baru I can draw something and then keluarlah puisi. Jenis macam tu. Kadang-kadang sekarang macam ada campur-campur a bit. Like I can do a puisi first and then baru keluar visuals.
Oh wow.
Because I frequently write. So kalau you nak change methods, you have to do something frequently and then slowly like converge it into a different method of creation. Yeah. One of the things that I learned when I was younger is if you have an idea, what is the best method to present this idea? Is it better if you do it as a short film? Is it better or better communicated as a poem or as a performance? And this is exciting because you realize that some things are better in different formats, and you have to sort of learn and asah diri you untuk figure out mana yang paling kuat identity dia kalau you letak dalam method macam ni. Kadang-kadang kalau you just buat puisi, tapi bila you fikir balik, kalau dalam bentuk gambar lagi kuat, lagi impactful. Benda-benda macam tu, like, is one of the things I'm learning. So right now, I think this year, I've been saying this since last year, I really been wanting to not overcome lah, but to learn more about music or about sound. Because it's a very thing yang I tak dapat nak tap into yet. So I'm thinking of like just collaborating with some of my musician friends, see what happens.
Nice. So yang itulah menunjukkan proses tu memang never ending. It will always continue. Nice. So kita dah cukup dah sejam. So this is the end of our session. Again, sorry for the technical difficulty. Nanti korang tengoklah macam mana aku edit. Kalau YouTube, kalau Spotify, tak apa kot. Jadi again, aku cuma nak katakan ini episod terakhir untuk season pertama JeninBercerita. Jadi terima kasih. Kalau setakat ni aku tengok sub aku ada 121. Jadi terima kasih kepada korang 121 yang sub dekat YouTube. Jadi terima kasih korang yang menonton, korang yang sub, like and share. Dan terima kasih kepada guest aku, Faizal, Ajim, Faizal dengan Ajim, dengan Anzo, and the last one, Dhani. And thanks to Ceruk Temu for the first episode, jadi tempat recording. And for JD Wong, our audio engineer, terima kasih sebab kalau korang dengar video episode 2, episode 3, sound dia lawa, semua terima kasih kepada dia. And seperti biasa, sub, like dan share. Kalau korang nak support podcast ni, boleh donate dekat Coffee. And any last word, Dhani?
Merepek more. Merepek is power.
Merepek is power. Yes. Alright, so itu sahaja. Terima kasih dan jumpa lagi next season. Bye-bye.